Okay, so let's say you decided on a protocol, you followed its rules, and the registry has issued you some carbon credits. What happens now?
The short answer is someone buys them. In the US, companies or individuals can buy carbon credits through private treaty deals, where you connect with the interested buyer to sell your carbon credits directly in exchange for their cash. Or you can sell your credits on a trading marketplace, a digital interface that allows people to buy, sell, and trade. Then, people who are interested can bid on them to try to get the best deal or best price possible.
But who are these buyers, and where does demand come from for carbon credits? As we now know, many companies are working to reduce their carbon footprints, either voluntarily or because of pressures from governments and stakeholders. That means they're working to reduce the impact that their activities have on the atmosphere and climate. Many of them are trying to adopt more sustainable business practices, to keep going through their business but producing less emissions in the process. Chances are, though, even if they're doing everything right, they're still going to have some emissions left at the end of the day. That's where carbon credits can come into the picture.
Let's say a company does everything they can to operate more sustainably and manages to reduce their carbon footprint to 500,000 tons of CO2 per year. How do they deal with the remaining carbon footprint? Well, one thing they could do is buy carbon credits. Remember, each carbon credit equals 1 ton of CO2. So by them buying 500,000 carbon credits, the company is paying for emission reductions or removals somewhere else, equal to their remaining balance of emissions. These carbon credits offset the company's emissions and bring their total carbon footprint down to net zero.
You might have heard the term net zero in the news or in ad campaigns from various companies. In general, moving towards a net zero emissions future means doing everything we can to reduce human-generated emissions and investing in more CO2 drawdown through nature and technology-based solutions to help balance out the emissions that we can't keep from happening. Many different companies and countries have their own various net zero goals. But overall, the United Nations says that we need to reach net zero by 2050 to keep climate change in check. That's why we're all needing to take a hard look at what we can do to help reach this important goal. And for many companies and countries in particular, carbon credits are being discussed as a potential part of the solution.
You might be wondering, how much is this all worth for you? Unfortunately, there's no one simple answer to that. Prices can be all over the map, often depending on the type of project, the location of the project, and the story behind the project. That's why it's really important for you to understand your own costs going in and what sort of return on investment you would want for your participation being in the carbon credit market.
Thanks again for tuning into this video series. Let's review what we learned. We started off talking about climate change and how it relates to carbon emissions. Then we learned what a carbon credit is and how you create them through the use of sustainable land management, following the steps of a protocol, and working with a registry. And now, in this final video, we've learned a bit more about who's buying carbon credits at the end of the day.
What are your next steps? As a producer, you can think about sustainable land management that might work for your land and look into what protocols might fit within your interests. And if you have ideas, questions, or even concerns, contact B Carbon. We're always here to chat. Thanks again for watching and learning more about the carbon credit market.